What's going on, guys? Episode 9. Yeah, I think 9. I got to get the episodes down, man. Standing 8. Yeah, it's 9, right? Yeah. Okay.
So
Standing,
number 9.
Yeah, Standing 8 Count Podcast. I'm Ray Rizz, and we'll do our intros. Vaughn, introduce yourself.
Von Blues Boxing. Y'all already know, guys. Von Blues Boxing on YouTube. Get at me.
Vaughn, what you eating, man? This sound good, man.
My bad. No, I'm having a turkey sandwich, a little club.
Oh, I knew it was a sandwich. I knew it was a sandwich. Not messing around. True. Introduce yourself.
Tru Boxing, TRU Boxing on YouTube, and I'm not. You know what I noticed? I'm not really on Instagram that much, but you can still go there. TRU_boxing on Instagram. So
okay, now make sure you guys hit that like button, man. It helps out a lot. It really does. We're gonna have some good segments. We just coming off of a card, actually a Showtime card yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday. Mm-hmm. And Vaughn's gonna go over that. Vaughn's gonna recap on that, and Vaughn, let us know how those fights went.
All right, so yesterday, Saturday night, it was the Angelo Leo Steve Fulton card. Angelo Leo is the WB. He was the WB Super Bantamweight champion, and also on that card we had the return of Rolly Romero. Rolly is coming off a controversy, very, very controversial win against Jackson Martinez. So he was on the card. His replacement, the guy he was going to fight, I don't know what happened with him.
It was COVID.
Oh yeah, I think Polito he had COVID. He ended up testing positive for COVID, so he was off the card. So they end up getting a late replacement in Avery Sparrow. Avery Sparrow fought him, and then we had Rashema Lee versus Vic Bacillus, and that was a good fight too. So I'm going to start with the Rolly Romero fight and Avery Sparrow. Now, Rolly Romero looked it better in this fight, like from a boxing standpoint. He looked it a little better, but it's just some things with Rolly. Rolly got to work on. But he got the win. He ended up, dude hurt his ankle. Avery Sparrow hurt his ankle like in the 5th round, 6th round, about the 5th or 4th round, he hurt his ankle. And so he basically was just on one leg. So his Avery Sparrow's trainer and corner, they threw in the towel, basically. He wasn't getting beat on, but it was just like you could tell he couldn't punch off of it. I mean, it was for Rolly, I don't know. I don't know what it did for him. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what Rolly goes on from there. Maybe Rolly can, we'll see. Rolly does need an impressive win. And that one last night, he boxed better, but it's still, there's some flaws there that Rolly got to definitely work on, especially coming up the upper level. Then we had Rashema Lee versus Vic Bacillus. Now, Vic Bacillus in 2014, he was a decent prospect. He was a decent prospect coming through boxing, but then he had this promotional problem. Basically, he had a promotional contract issue, and they kept him out of boxing for almost 2 years. So he came back, got a couple of wins, beat this kid in Garcia, got the win over him. So he got himself in position to be in because last night, what was it? True, was it a WBA regular title? Right. That was
it's the interim belt. Yeah,
interim belt. So basically, one of those guys is going to get a title shot at Brandon Figueroa. So, well, I don't know. We'll see. But so Aleem and Bacillus, it was a good fight. It was a good fight, even though Bacillus, Aleem kind of dominated the fight, knocked him down 3 times, hurt him pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? But it was still a good fight. It was still entertaining. Bacillus, is tough as nails. Like, he took some big shots, got knocked down, got rocked multiple times, and he kept coming. So for Aleem, he has a part of a WBA title, and he also, it maybe might set him up for a shot against Brandon Figueroa, both on PVC. So maybe the fight happens, maybe it's not, but it was good for Aleem. It puts him in that. Now he's truly a title contender. So that was a good win for him. Got a stoppage, keeps looking impressive, keeps going. We'll see what happens with him after this. Then in the main event, we had Steve Fulton versus Angelo Leo. Now, Steve Fulton and Angelo Leo was supposed to fight. I think it was it November, December? It was around August. I know I'd be off, True.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's why I got you there. So August, man. So yeah, it was in August. So they were supposed to fight, but Steve Fulton tested positive for COVID. So, Angelo Leo went on. He ended up fighting what's his name? He ended up fighting Tremaine Williams, beating Tremaine Williams. It was impressive because Tremaine Williams is not a bad fighter at all. Pretty good boxer. So he beat him. Then they fought, so they fought Saturday night. And so Steve Fulton got the win. Won unanimous decision. It was an entertaining fight. Angelo Leo early on was giving Steve Fulton some issues, but Steve Fulton adjusted. I mean, they predict mainly and fought the fight in the pocket, just like basically head on chest and fought the pocket. But Steve Fulton was able to get the better of Angelo Leo. After that 5th or 6th round, he started getting the better of him, and he just ended up winning those late rounds and getting those rounds in the bag, and it was a good win. He was an impressive win. It was a good win, and So Steve Fulton is in position. He's now the WBO champion. He's in pretty good position because PBC has a lot of the top 122ers over there on their stable. So, I mean, he's in good position. He could fight Brandon Figueroa. He could fight Luis Neri, the new WBC 122 champion, because Ray Vargas went up to 126. And he's got possibilities. Brandon Figueroa. He's got Daniel Roman. He's got a lot of options. So we'll see what happens with Steve Fulton after that. And that's pretty much it, fellas. With that.
Okay. What do you think about those matchups, True?
We'll start with the Ramiro one real quick. Wasn't like an overly impressive performance.
Yeah.
I mean, he started off really good and knocked what's his name down, that Sparrow down in the first round, but he just he needs to learn how to put his punches together. I don't think he's ready, even though he's the interim champion at lightweight right now, the interim WBA champion. Yeah. I'm not sure how ready he is for the top 10 guys yet. So he's still got some work to do, but I can see the talent there, and he definitely has some pop. So, it was kind of a so-so performance, but, he looked like he was into it, and he was trying. It was just that dude was elusive, Sparrow was moving a lot. So, and it looked like he was headhunting. He wasn't trying to kind of set it up, set the knockout up. So, I think that's why that didn't come the way he wanted it. But the co-feature, Aleem, I mean, he looked good. He seemed like he controlled the action. It was competitive, but he scored 4 knockdowns and then stopped them in the 12th. So impressive performance. Talent-wise, he looks like he's ready for top 10, especially in a wide open 122-pound division right there. But we'll see. This was kind of a step in that direction, and he looks, like I said, he looks like he's got the talent, and he should get some kind of opportunity being the interim champion and fighting for the PBC. And then, the main event, Stephen Fulton, I mean, impressive, man. I didn't think he was going to have the stamina that he had after a year layoff and never really being in a big title fight like this. If these guys would have fought in August, I would have picked Fulton to win in August because he was a favorite and they were both undefeated. But after Leo went out and just looked really impressive against a good boxer and Tremaine Williams, prospect on the rise, and won the title, I gave a slight edge to Leo going into this fight. And Stephen Fulton, I mean, he stayed in the pocket, and I like the way he was turning Angelo Leo, because he never let Angelo Leo kind of take the tempo of the fight or dictate the pace. He just always stayed in that. He got hit with a good one in the 4th round, Fulton did, and like stunned right at the end of the round, but it seemed like he wasn't gonna let what's his name take Leo take the fight from him. So in the 5th round and pretty much on, and the judges reflected this in their scores, he just took over the fight, man. I mean, he in terms of points and winning rounds, he dominated on that, but I mean, it was competitive. Leo's got a lot of heart. I think he's got a good future. He shouldn't get too low on himself. He did well. But I think Stephen Fulton could be one of the future kings of the sport, man, in the lower weight classes. This guy really showed some good technique and good talent, and he's got a cockiness to him that I like. It's not an overconfidence, but it's definitely a confidence, and I like that. So we'll see what happens. It wasn't a bad way to kick off the year, though. It was pretty competitive action on Showtimes.
That's good. Yeah, it seemed like an interesting card. I didn't get a chance to catch it. But I wish I would have caught on to that. But it seemed like it was a pretty good setup. And I remember we talked about it earlier. Didn't we talk about this fight coming up earlier a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys think it lived up to what you guys thought it would be?
That was a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better than
what I thought.
I mean, it really had the makings if Leo could have kept up the pace with Fulton to be like an early fight of the year candidate, but Fulton, like I said, he just stepped into another gear, man, and I love when fighters do that. I don't care who they are and if I like you or not. If you can step up that gear and take it into the second half of the fight, man. I mean, and especially when you face a little adversity, like getting hurt,
Right,
or
right, right.
stunned. And then you can go, okay, nope, I'm taking this back now. You done stunned me, that's it,
Right.
And that was impressive. So Fulton showed a lot of almost veteran technique in doing that, man, and I like that. So
Okay. Nice. Well, that ends it but from the recap, well, we still got our top tens to do. And we're doing a bantamweight today, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Super bantamweight, yeah.
Super bantamweight. So is there a difference is there a bantamweight or is just super bantamweight? There's two separate.
Yeah. Bantamweight's 118, super bantamweight's 122.
Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So Vaughn, you starting it off. Go ahead and give us your top tens.
Okay. So I'm going to start with my top tens. I'm not going to be super long. Like, I'm going to explain a little bit, but I'm going to let Tru explain. Like, Tru be on point a little more with some of the explaining of, like, the, certain fighters and stuff. But I'm going to give some, but I'm going to not be super long. So at number 10, for my top 10 super bantamweights is Azat Hovahizin. Azat Hovahizin, I got him at number 10. Armenian dude, been around for a minute in super bantamweight division. It's got some cool wins, I mean, he's cool. Azat is cool. I got him at I got him at number 10. I mean, you look at the division, it's a good division. It's a good division, but it's got some veterans. It's got some guys that's been around for a long, long time. And he beat Ronnie Rios. He stopped Ronnie Rios. That was like one of his big, big wins. But I mean, had a unanimous decision against Ray Vargas. So I mean, yeah, I got him at number 10. And then at number 9, I got former champion Tamoki Kameda. Now, Tamoki Kameda has been around for a while. Like, Kameda's young. He's only 29. He's still a young dude, but he's been around for a long time. He's been boxing. He's came up divisions. He's a pretty good fighter. You know what I'm saying? He was a former champion. At bantamweight. And so he's had some good wins. He's had some bad losses. You know what I'm saying? He lost to, like, Galvin McDonald. That was one that was kind of like, Jimmy McDonald. My bad, not Galvin McDonald. He lost to Jimmy McDonald twice. That was bad for him because he was kind of like Inoue before Inoue. You know what I'm saying, fellas?
Right.
He was kind of like Inoue. You know what I'm saying? He was coming up. He was winning all these fights, but then he lost to Jimmy McDonald twice, and that's what kind of took some, But he came back. He bounced back. He had a very competitive fight against Ray Vargas a year ago. I enjoyed that fight. I like how Ray made the adjustments, but so I got Tamoki Kameda at number 9. So at number 8, I got the former WBO champion Angelo Leo. Angelo Leo is the former WBO champion. Just came off the loss against Steve Fulton. So I got him at number 8. Number 7, I got Rio Sukiyawaza. So Rio Sukiyawaza, he's been in this division for a while. He's another one of those dudes that's been in the division for a while. Maybe a lot of people haven't heard of him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people maybe haven't seen some of his fights and stuff like that. But he's a pretty good fighter. I think, he's been around for a while in this division. Pretty good fighter, you know what I'm saying? He had a bad loss against Dahny, but Dahny was kind of rated high for a while, but then TJ kind of slipped up a little bit. So I got him at number 7. And then at number 6, I got Luis Neri, WBC champion. Luis Neri, he's coming up weight. He was really good at the weight. He was at 118. He was chasing, it seemed like he was kind of chasing the Inoue fight, but then he went up weight. You know what I'm saying? Because being with PBC, they have a better broad range with 122. He beat Carlos Payano, stopped him. He beat Aaron Almeida. Which was very close though. It was a tough fight. Aaron Almeida, he's got some good wins. He went over to Japan, beat Shinji Suku Yamanaka. Yamanaka's a legend in Japan. He went over there, beat him, stopped him. That's what kind of put Neri out there on the map when he went over there and beat dude. So I got Luis Neri at number 6. And then at number 5, I have the WBA champion, partially WBA champion, Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa is a young, talented bantamweight. He's been around, he's got some decent wins. Julio Sea, he's beat some good fighters. I got him at number 5. Brandon is he's moving up the ranks, good fighter. At number 4, I got Steve Fulton, WBO champion. Steve is just came off a win against Angelo Leo. Now, Steve Fulton doesn't have the biggest names, but he's beat a lot of undefeated fighters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not like he doesn't have the biggest names of undefeated fighters, but he's beat guys with zeros. And then at number 3, I got Isaac Dobe. Isaac Dobe is a former champion, lost to Emmanuel Neverete in 2 fights. Pretty bad, lost both fights, but he's still a top dude. Number 2, I got the former champion, WBA and IBF champ. I got the former champion, Daniel Roman. Daniel Roman is coming off coming off a win against what was that, Carlos Payano, which was a difficult fight for. I mean, it wasn't his most impressive win, but Payano, that type of good dude, you're just not gonna always get like. You know what I'm saying? His past couple fights, you're just not gonna beat him impressively. And then at number 1, I got Moradon John. Oh my God, Akhmadalov. The names be hard from Uzbekistan. He's Kazakhstan. They be hard to say sometimes. So he's a WBA, IBF champion. He's been around. He has only had 8 fights, which is very impressive. But think about these guys from Eastern Europe and like that area, Uzbekistan and stuff. They have massive amateur experience. You know what I'm saying? And they don't go in professional until they're like mid-20s and stuff. So it's 8 fights, so that's impressive, but the man's got plenty of experience boxing and skilled and stuff. And he just came off a really, really close win against Daniel Roman, split decision. So he's my number 1 super bantamweight 122.
Okay. So Tru,
I want to keep it.
Tru, any of those boxers hit your list? Go ahead and explain your list and.
I only got 2 guys. We got 2 guy difference. I have 2 guys that not on mine. Tamoki Kameda. I don't think he's done enough in this division. So, and this division is so wide open. So, it was close. He was like on my bubble guys, like 10 to 15. And then Dogbe didn't make it because Dogbe's fighting at 126 now. He's like pretty much, even though he only fought once, but he's pretty much committed to 126 now. So yeah. So
go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, he's still ranked 22 though, so it's all good. But the guys from last year that are out for me are Emmanuel Navarrete. He entered the year number 2, but he gave up his belt to move up and fight for the title at 126. Ray Vargas drops out. He was number 3 coming into the year. He gave up his emeritus status for the WBC. He was supposed to come back and fight Luis Neri for the title, but he decided to give that up and move up to 126. And they're talking about him and Gary Russell fighting next, which would be good. Also dropping out was Guillermo Regandio. He entered the year number 9, and he moved actually moved down to 118 and won a regular title there. So he's competing there. He's 40 years old and he's still banging around. So. And then the last guy to drop out was Franklin Manzanilla. He came in number 10. Other guys just passed him up, and he was coming off a loss coming into the year anyway. So, just real quick jumping into it. So, my rankings were, this is my year-end top 10. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah. So, he came into the year. I did my year-end top 10s and not my not from last night, but I will kind of update it from last night. But I'll let you guys know what my year-end were first. So Angelo Leo. I got him at number 10. He lost the title last night. He originally was coming in number 10. That's where he's probably gonna stay, but he'll be tied for it now. But no shame in losing that one. He had a nice one over Tremaine Williams. He should be back. Tying him for 10th is going to be TJ Dahny. He dropped just a year and a half about a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half. He had a good a great fight with Daniel Roman trying to unify belts, and he lost a close decision there, but then he came in against some nobody guy in March and lost the decision. And that definitely dropped him down. So he's 34 now. He's not sure if he wants to compete at 126 or stay at 122. So I got him tied for 10th. Number 9 is actually the guy that beat him, Ionut Beluda. This guy kind of came out of nowhere. He scored the upset over Dahny. And then he took on a guy named David Allen Joyce, who was a prospect out of Ireland, who was supposed to be pretty good. And he went into his house and knocked him out in only the 3rd round. And this guy's only got 3 knockouts on his resume. So I don't know what this fool started drinking at the beginning of the year, but he went from a nobody to a somebody now. He's ranked in the WBO, and I got him at the back end of the top 10, so we'll see what he can do. Number 8 is Ronnie Rios, the former world title challenger. He's still ranked number 3 in the WBC. He didn't fight in 2020, but he was ordered to fight Brandon Figueroa in a mandatory fight, and then that Figueroa asked for an exception to compete for the to make an optional defense, and the WBA said that they were going to let Rios fight for the interim title. And then that never happened. So I'm not sure what's going on, if he's still going to end up fighting Brandon Figueroa. I hope he does, because I think that's a good step for Figueroa, the youngster. But I don't know. And Ronnie Rios needs to try to get in the ring, because he's coming off his career best win about a year and a half ago. He knocked out Diego De La Hoya. That was impressive. So so we'll see what happens with him. Number 7 is where I'm putting Steve Fulton. So coming into the year, he didn't make my top 10 because he hadn't really beaten anybody significant yet. But after last night, he's going to move into number 7 as a new WBO champion. And he's a star on the rise. That dude was he had a good performance last night. So he'll be number 7. Number 6 is regular champion, undefeated, Brandon Figueroa. He moves up a spot for number 7. The thing about Brandon Figueroa, he doesn't have that signature win yet, man. He just doesn't. And I'm waiting around for him to get it. So I really hope he gets somebody like Ronnie Rios, to be honest, before he steps in against and tries to unify belts. Because to be honest, I see some flaws in Figueroa, man. And he gets hit, and I see some flaws that some of these more experienced guys are going to expose. So I think a win over a guy like Rios, if he could get that win and gain some more confidence, I think that would do a lot of good for him. So we'll see what he does. But he should get into a big fight this year. And he's very young, and the guy brings it. He's a knockout fighter. Number 5 is Azat Havanasi. I like this guy. To me, this guy's the boogeyman at 122, because this dude, he knocked out Ronnie Rios cold in 2018, and then he fought Ray Vargas, and Vargas had to hold on for dear life to get that decision. I mean, he gave Ray Vargas hell, and he broke Ray Vargas's jaw. Vargas was out of the ring for, I think, 8-9 months after the fight, with him repairing his jaw and injuries and stuff. So Havanasian ain't no joke. And then was it 2018? He knocked out Franklin Manzanilla, who almost knocked out Vargas in his previous fight. I mean, this dude is just hungry. He comes straight forward. He does not care. And he's number 1 in the WBA. A
little Vic Darchinian, baby.
Yeah, exactly. They're from the same place too, so Armenians. It's crazy. But he's actually the number 1 contender in the WBA. So I think there's a good shot that he might get Akhmadiev later on in the year. So we'll see, man. I like Havanasian a lot, though. Number 4 is Rio Sukiyawaza. He's a former champ. He probably should. He got robbed in his home country against TJ Dahny. He probably should have won that fight. He was fighting at home in Japan, Ray, and his own country robbed him, bro. I was shocked by that. But to lose his title a couple years back, but the dude is actually in line to fight Akhmadiev next. He's a mandatory challenger for Akhmadiev's title. That's 2 belts he's going to be competing for, and I think he's got a shot. I don't think he wins, but I think he's got a shot. And we always talk about opportunities, man. So we'll see.
Right.
Number 3 is the former unified champ Daniel Roman. He drops 2 spots from number 1. Lost the title to Akhmadiev in an upset, but it was a close fight, split decision. And then took on Juan Carlos Payano, and just, I don't know, he didn't look that good, man.
Nah.
And he got a gift decision in that fight. I mean, it was close. He probably won like the last 4 rounds, but the problem was, Ray, is he pretty much lost the first 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
So so it was, I think he really got a gift decision, but I think he was just overlooking the guy is what it was. And maybe he made that mistake in losing the title to Akhmadiev, because Roman's a good fighter, but we'll see. He's fighting for the PBC. I'm hearing rumors that him and Luis Neri could be going at it for the WBC title next. After the fight, I read this morning, he's already calling out Stephen Fulton for that title, so he's going to have options. I mean, this guy's going to have options.
Roman,
and we'll see if he can get back into it. He'll definitely get the opportunity. Number 2 is Luis Neri. He's undefeated WBC champ. I know he barely won the title here, but this guy was a champ at 118, and he's 31-0, 24 knockouts. I mean, he's beaten some solid fighters at 118.
Mhm.
He's a good fighter. We're gonna see
Pantera.
who can take the top spot for the PBC fighters in this division this year, because it's kind of wide open, and I think these guys are going to try to unify belts. So I would like to see Neri fight a guy like Roman first, and if he beats him, then fight somebody like Stephen Fulton or Brandon Figueroa, like build those fights. I think that's the thing, is these guys need to learn how to build it. And you got a guy undefeated, young guy, 26, like Neri, throw him in against a veteran like Roman, a former champ. Let them fight it out, and then see if him and like Fulton or Figueroa could lock horns later in the year, man, and build a fight. But
Yeah.
he's number 2. And then finally, number 1 is the same as Vaughn's, Akhmadaev. I mean, him beating Roman and taking 2 of the 4 titles, and everything. I mean, that pretty much gives him the number 1 spot. But yeah, he's 26. He's young. He's he can cement himself even more if he beats Iwasa in his next fight, because he's supposed to fight Iwasa in a mandatory defense.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Akhmadaev's problem that he's going to have is lack of opposition after Iwasa, because he fights with the Zone. He's co-promoted by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and we'll see if I really think if he's smart, he takes on Havanasian, and he might be mandated to make that defense, and that'll be his year. And then maybe Eddie Hearn and Matchroom can work out deals with the PBC to get them to, in 2022 to start fighting. But a lot of young guys at 122, Ray. This division's going to be exciting, man. A lot of young guys. You got some good, solid veterans still sitting there to kind of be like the gatekeepers, but they're better than gatekeepers.
Right.
And this is going to be an exciting division this year, man. I really think this division's on the up.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Got to definitely look out that. So that's your top 10, right? You said you're number 1, right? Oh, you guys have the same one, number 1. Okay.
Yeah, same number 1.
Yeah, that's good. Good one. So you guys just had differences. Was there any guys that moved around between you two, or just pretty much the same, minus those 2 guys that you said wasn't in yours? True.
Moved around, like, in terms of I mean, there were some differences. Like, I think he had Neri number 6 and I had him number 2. But you know what? The one thing about this division, Ray, is it's so completely wide open that you're splitting hairs.
Right.
I mean, and 122 has been like that for the last 2-3 years. Like, you get one big win, boom, you're right at the top.
So is that?
It just depends on who you beat. Like Akhmadaev, Ray, he hadn't beaten nobody even close to the top 10 before he fought Roman. And then he beats Roman, who was number 1, and takes 2 belts. So that pretty much
makes you
the number 1 spot. So yeah. I mean, not a lot of guys have been building resumes at 122 and beating each other. Does
that make it better for you guys? You feel when it's wide open, or you like guys more solidified?
Me, I like it wide open. I like it wide open sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes it's good when you like now, But I don't like when a guy hasn't been there and then boom, he beats the number 1 guy and then he's sitting on top, because you really don't know how good that fool is.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he can lose, and you're just like, and everything just gets all messed up.
Right.
And you're like, oh man, and it becomes really hard for a guy like me who does top 10s to go, oh shit, how do I do this now?
Right.
It's really, you talk about splitting hairs, and then it's just like, damn,
Right.
So But I also like it more solidified, because I like seeing the best fighting the best, and you're only solidified if you beat some of the best fighters. And Errol Spence is a great example of that. At 147, you can compare him and Crawford all you want, and up until this past year you could, but after this year and after the way he handled Danny Garcia, and Crawford doesn't get the same opposition. Spence pretty much kind of, spread away from Crawford, at least at 147, and so, it's more solidified, and I like that.
It kind of reminds me of, and this is on the MMA tip, when Ronda Rousey lost to Holmes, remember? And then Holmes ended up losing to somebody else. She wasn't as dominant.
What's her name?
So it kind of, once the person that created the upset ends up losing to somebody else, it kind of throws everything into disarray. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, and it sucks when you're the guy that beat the guy, because you don't know how good you are. Like a great example is Holyfield when he beat Buster Douglas. After Douglas beat Tyson, it was like everybody was excited about Holyfield and Tyson at the time, but we really didn't know how good Evander was yet. So,
right.
And then Evander made an old man like George Foreman still look good when they fought because he was kind of an undersized heavyweight Evander. So you really didn't know till Evander beat Tyson like 5 years later,
Right.
that how good Evander really was, because he beat the guy who beat the guy, you know? And
right.
It was just like, you know, and that's what sucks about some of these guys that come in and pull upsets that have no business being at the top, but hey, it does shake things up, and it does make it exciting sometimes. So, you know. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's actually a good segue into our fight of the year. We're going to start with Tru. Give us your criteria of what you were looking for in the fight of the year, or what made that fight of the year that contender, if that makes sense. But go ahead.
Well, the first criteria is the same one for pretty much all my awards, and that's you know, how big the fight was, if it had some significance to it and stuff. I always lean more that way. But overall, it's the back and forth action in a fight of the year. You know, you can't have like last night's fight is a good example of something that I don't want people to get mistaken that could be a contender, because if it's not competitive in terms of even the scores where they're going back and forth and the momentum's changing and stuff like that, then to me, it's not really a fight of the year. You know, I mean, it was a good fight last night. It was a good action fight, but Stephen Fulton, if you call that a fight of the year candidate, then you're not giving that love to Stephen Fulton for how much he really pulled away from Angelo Leo and dominated the action. So, you know, so for me, it's got to be more back and forth, kind of close on the scorecards, that kind of deal.
Okay.
You know, back and forth action is my main thing for fight of the year.
Okay.
So, so yeah, I'll just jump into my top five. Let me see. Number 5, I think it's a 2-way tie for 5th. Yeah, I got Jaime Munguia and Turiano Johnson. October, man. This was a war. And I think a lot of people knew it was gonna be, and they just went toe to toe, man. It was a middleweight fight. You know, Munguia undefeated, trying to make a name for himself, and Turiano Johnson, just the kind of like a gatekeeper type guy at 160, but a slugger and not afraid to bang. And these dudes were going back and forth for 6 rounds. And Munguia ended up winning when he landed a wicked uppercut and that split Johnson's lip wide open.
I remember that one.
Winning off of that. Yeah, but yeah, that was a great back and forth action. So I threw that one some love. Tying that one was Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz, man. I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna remember the knockout, which was fantastic, but this was a good ass fight for 6 rounds. I mean, they were going toe to toe. The scorecards reflected that. It was, I think Davis was up 3-2 on all 3 cards going into that 6th round, and Santa Cruz was backing him up at times, and Davis was kept coming forward too. So good back and forth action right there. I really enjoyed it. Number 4 was Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas, a welterweight fight that took place in February. Yeah, this is good back and forth action, kind of tide swinging action too. It wasn't like a Barrera Morales type fight, but it was I like that there was a lot of tide shifts here. Like Jesse Vargas was winning early, then Mikey knocked him down with the left hook, and took over kind of the middle rounds, but Vargas was still chucking with him. And then just when you thought Mikey started to pull away, Jesse Vargas in the championship rounds came back and started really like found a second win and made it close and interesting. So, and it went the distance. So I like that one. Number 3 was Jose Ramirez and Victor Postal when they fought for the unified title at 140 in August. Just a good back and forth action right there. I mean, I expected it to be a competitive fight, but I thought Ramirez was going to pull away, and Postal never let him. You know, for the older fighter, 36, he just continued to box and continued to land good shots, and he made it real close. Ramirez ended up winning a majority decision. Number 2, and this one swung in at the end, it was Matsuyoshi Nakatani and Felix Verdejo. Man, that ended up being a good-ass fight where Verdejo was dominating the first half of the fight, and then Nakatani came back and I mean, we've discussed this one recently. He came back, started landing some big shots, and then he stopped Verdejo in the late round. So that was impressive. It was a good tide swing right there, and even before the knockout, Verdejo was still landing shots and trying to box and move, and Nakatani just kept coming. And that was a really exciting fight and an exciting ending. But number 1, I mean, with a bullet, no doubt. This one's won a couple awards already. It's Jose Cepeda and Ivan Barianchik. They're their fight at 140 as they were fighting to become number one contenders. I mean, Ray, we keep discussing it.
Right.
Dude, this was one of the best fights I've ever seen, let alone this year, man. It was 8 knockdowns, man, and the fact that they traded 4 apiece, and
Right.
and all that in 5 rounds. That's the shit that trips me out about it,
I
man. It
know.
was just it was just a war, man, and they were just going in the tide swing. I mean, I've never seen a fight happen like that sequence of events, and then Zepeda to end it with that brutal left hand. I mean, oh my God, he knocked Barianchik out when it looked like Barianchik was finally going to stop him. It was just such an emotional tide swinging fight right there. And yeah, that it's number one with a bullet. It's not even. So yeah, that one definitely gets it for me. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay, Vaughn, what about you? What's your 5?
All right, so my 5 coming in number 5, I got Leo Santa Cruz versus Tank Davis. Like True said, it was a great fight, man. It was exciting for a while. It was exciting fight. I mean, just back and forth, just a really good fight. Tank from the ring of the bell, start of the bell. Number 4, I got Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian White. Dillian White, as you know, he was up in that fight. It was looking like he was going to stop Alexander Povetkin in that round. I think it was the third or fourth round. And out of nowhere, Povetkin lands the uppercut from hell. Well, not out of nowhere because he set it up, but out of just knocked him into oblivion. So that was my number 4 fight. Number 3, I had Juan Francisco Estrada versus Carlos Cuadras 2. And that fight was exciting as hell because Estrada got knocked down. And I thought he was in trouble in that fight. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, you could kiss that Chocolatito fight go by. I'm like, you're going to lose it. I'm like, shit. I'm like, there it goes. But what's the name? Came back late rounds, stopped him. And it was a good, exciting fight. That was I enjoyed that fight a lot. They were at it. So that was my number 3. And then number 2, I'm with Tru Boxing on this one. Nakatani versus Felix Verdejo. So Nakatani and Verdejo fight was just it was a fun, exciting fight. Verdejo looked like he was going to stop Nakatani, and I was just like, wow, Verdejo, you didn't come to play. I was going to be like impressed. You stopped him in 2 or 3 rounds, Nakatani. Like, damn. I'm like, that's a big, lightweight. But back and forth, good action. Verdejo ran out of gas. Nakatani got him out of there, basically. So that's my number 2, and I'm with Tru. Ivan Baranchyk, Jose Zepeda, fight of the year. Tru said everything needs to be said. That fight, you need to go watch that fight, Ray.
I'm gonna have to. You guys keep telling me to. I'm gonna have to, man.
Oh, yep. Ray.
Where can I watch it first?
If you haven't seen that, bro, you're gonna be moderator of the day at that point, bro. So,
yeah. Hold on, let me write it down.
That's your homework for the week.
Wait, give me the name again. It was who?
Ivan Baranchyk versus. So put it in Zepeda versus, and then it'll come in as soon as you put
Zepeda, versus who?
Baranchyk.
Oh yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it right now. Watch
that'll be one of the best half hours of your life, right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. Hold on a second. Let me see. Hold on. Let me put that. Okay. So now we're going into the winning year. Winning year. True. You're gonna start this one off. You said you're 5, right, Vaughn? On the fight of the year.
Fight of the year. Yeah, I'm gonna do 5 real quick.
No. You just did your 5. Your 5. You finished it off, right? I didn't want to cut you off. My bad. Okay. So winning year. A lot of people probably would think, well, a win of the year is similar to the fight of the year. Knowing Tru, and knowing Vaughn, is certain criteria. So Tru, let us know the criteria of the what your win of the year is, so we can get started on that.
Obviously the level of the fight again is huge. It's how big the win was. Who you fought, what titles were on the line, all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be just a title fight. It could be just a heads up fight. Like I know we had title win of the year and then we had non-title win of the year, but this one is the overall best win period of the year. And I think how you end the fight definitely matters. But you could compare that with a guy that has an ass whipping, over another guy in a big fight, or a guy that won a big fight, but there was more at stake and who he might have beat. So those are the levels that you got to kind of split the hairs on right there for win of the year. And it was tough, man. It wasn't easy picking this one overall, especially a top 5, man, because there were some good wins. But I'm going to jump in. I got a 2-way tie for 5th. This fight is a fight that I don't think gets enough love because of the division it's in, but I'm going with Maris Bradis's 12-round unanimous decision over Junior Dorticos when they competed in the World Boxing Super Series finals at 200 pounds for cruiserweight. It was a big fight. It basically was. It was to determine the number one fighter at cruiserweight, and when you have the number one and the number two fighters going at it, bro, like that's always going to be a big one. And Dorticos went in the favorite. Actually, coming into the tournament, he was number 2 and Bradis was number 1. But their first 2 fights, Bradis's were both controversial, and Dorticos won solid in both of his. And in the semifinal, he laid out Andrew Tabiti, who was an undefeated Mayweather guy on the rise, and laid him out cold in the 10th round. So Dorticos was looking like he was a heavy favorite almost going in against Bradis. But Bradis has a great resume, and Bradis, man, he did a great job of boxing in this one, and it really wasn't even that close on the scorecards. He probably won 8 to 9 rounds clean and took a convincing decision and won the tournament, and is the top guy without question at cruiserweight right now. So that was a big win. Tying him, it was Gervonta Davis's 6th round knockout of Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, what a win this was right here. Davis, this was kind of perfect because this was the win he needed in the moment he needed it. It was his first fight on pay-per-view, and on where he's headlining a pay-per-view. And Leo Santa Cruz is a really good, solid Mexican fighter who's never been beaten, or never been knocked out or even hurt. He got beat by a real close majority decision. That was the only one he had lost, and he avenged that loss. So so it was really, and Davis, there was a lot of questions about him in his dedication, coming down to 130 to fight again after he had missed weight before. So for him to just lay out Santa Cruz cold, it was just a huge win and a huge spot. And it's what he needed. It definitely is what we've been wanting to see from Gervonta, and it's the kind of win that he needed. So it was big. Number 4, and this one's close. I go with Errol Spence's 12-round decision over Dahny Garcia. This ended up being just a dominant performance out of Errol Spence. And it was a moment where not a lot of people saw that coming. Dahny's always been competitive in any fight that he's ever had, win or lose. And Errol just was like, nope. He just went in there and just overwhelmed Dahny at times and really beat him up. There were some rounds that were competitive, but man, I gave Errol Spence like 10, 11 rounds in this one. He just dominated. He kept both his world titles, and it really allowed Errol to separate from Terrence Crawford at 147 and become the top dog there. So that was a big win. Number 3, it was Canelo's decision over Callum Smith. Canelo just put it on Smith, who we've talked about it before, 7 inches taller, way longer reach. And even though a lot of people didn't know Callum Smith's name, on like a big basis, but I mean, this guy was the universal number 1 at 168 for a couple of years. He had won the World Boxing Super Series tournament, unseated the previous guy who was there. And, and Callum Smith comes from a fighting family. So a lot of people thought
he does.
He was going to be in this fight. I thought he was going to be in it. I didn't think he was going to win, but I thought he was going to be in it. And he just fought scared. I mean, once Canelo hit him with some big shots and really pressed him early, like, man, I've never seen, I've seen it before, but not from a guy on this level to where he just kind of fought scared, and to be that much bigger than your opponent who's coming right at you and you have the reach advantage. It was almost like me and Vaughn talked about it. Like, he just didn't want to get knocked out.
Right.
Like, he just wanted to go 12 rounds. And for Canelo to dominate that way, it was, it was impressive as hell. And so that was a big win for him. Number 2, and this was tight, but it was Teofimo Lopez's 12-round decision over Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, he became undisputed champion at 135, and that one, I don't snub that at all. That was huge right there. Big win. And Lomachenko was right at the top. I had him number 2 at the time, pound for pound. So this was a huge win for Lopez. And to unify all 4 belts, I mean, like I said, I think Lopez is only the 5th guy in history to do that in the last 30 years since it's been all 4 titles on the line. And, that was just an impressive performance. And like I said, no matter what the scorecards ended up being, it was close, and Lopez knew it should have been close, and he came out in the 12th round and fought like a champion. And for him to fight that way at a young age, especially after being pretty much dominated the last 4 rounds prior to the 12th by Lomachenko, I was impressed with Lopez in that performance. That was a big win right there. And now he's the top dog at 135, man. So he, big win. But number one, and it was tough, but I think it was because of how one-sided it was. It was Tyson Fury's 7th round TKO of Deontay Wilder. I mean, this fight was, and it was also the biggest fight of the year. It was a rematch. I mean, and the fact, and I think the fact that Fury was the underdog coming in, but people were looking at it like, oh man, the first fight, Fury should have won, but Deontay almost knocked him out. It was kind of like, who's gonna win this one? How's it gonna go? I think a lot of people, myself included, were picking Deontay because he did almost lay out Fury the first time. And I think people just thought Deontay was confident as hell and he was going to knock him out in the rematch. And Fury just, man, he just beat the hell out of Deontay and stopped him in the 7th round. And, don't buy into all the excuses from Wilder about that either. He lost. He got his ass beat and he lost. So that's all it was. But that was a huge win, man, for Fury, and it made him the top dog at heavyweight, which is the glamour division. I mean, that's the division over all the years in boxing that's carried boxing. So yeah. So that's my top 5 right there.
Okay, so sorry, man. I don't know if you guys been hearing me in the background. I'm watching this fight, and there's already been 5 knockdowns. I'm like, it's funny because one of the biggest, I think, change of paces was Barachank's first knockdown, and then but he came back and knocked down for the 3rd time. And I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just crazy. Yeah. So very good fight. And I've only watched 10 minutes of it, guys. So make sure you guys watch that. All right, boss. So what's your if you have different criteria than Tru on your win of the year? But let's hear your top 5.
My criteria is pretty similar. Similar. Yeah, when it's win of the year, it's like you don't have to be. I mean, I look at title shots and I look how big the fight is, like for my wins of the year. But I'm also like with Tru, like if you're a prospect who took a big step up, like you know what I'm saying, you had a big step up fight, that could be win of the year. You know what I'm saying? That gets you into other places. Or if you came out of the woodworks and beat a top level guy, that gets you in there too. But so I had a 2-way tie for 5th. I had Tank Davis over Leo Santa Cruz. Like Tru said, Tru basically broke it down why it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? And then I had Rosario over Williams. I had Jason Rosario over Julian J. Rock Williams. So Jason Rosario came out of nowhere, basically. Like, I mean, I knew who he was. I mean, I knew who he was, but he wasn't like nobody we was really like, oh, he's going to be, you know what I'm saying? And he came out of nowhere and stopped J-Rock. It was one of them stay busy fights for J-Rock. And J-Rock was not ready for what Rosario broke that night. Right. So that was a big win. That put him up on the map. You know what I'm saying? Made him a unified champion, put him on the map. So I got that at 2-way 5. Then number 4, I got Akhmadiev over Dahny Roman. That fight was big for me because Akhmadiev only having 8 fights, being 26 years old and being a unified champion, that's pretty big. And like he's not like 34, 33 years old with 8 fights. You know what I'm saying? He's 26, 8 fights. So it was a big win for me. Like I thought that was pretty damn big. That brought a lot of attention to Akhmadiev, and people kind of like, okay, who's this, guy coming out of Eastern Europe, So that was number 4. Number 3 for me was Jamel Charlo over Jason Rosario, because I mean, Rosario didn't have the big name, but him becoming a 3-belt champion, and we'd only have 2 champions. There are 3-belt champions in boxing. Actually 3. We only have 3. 3 guys is actually 3-belt champions, and so that's huge for me. Any fighter that does that in this time, it's huge for me. So that was huge for Jamel Charlo. I think that solidified Jamel Charlo as being one of the better boxers in the world. And I think it kind of some people didn't really, respect Jamel's, his resume. I respect him like that as a fighter, but I think that kind of brought attention and made people be like, all right, you know what? Jamel is top notch type of guy. He is one of the better fighters in the world. You know what I'm saying? He proved it. You know what I'm saying? So that was number 3 for me. Number 2, I got Tyson the Gypsy King Fury over Deontay the Bronze Bomber win. It was a very sad night for me. I remember I was listening to REM, Everybody Hurts. that night. So
I thought you were gonna say losing my religion, bro.
Oh, that one too. Yes, that was on the playlist too. And so it was a tough night. Tyson put it on my boy. I like all the glove stuff, all that stuff. I've never gotten to it, And the thing is, it's just Tyson Fury was just a better man. That's just it. That's all. He just was the better man. He came prepared. He had a good game plan, and he came in there and he kicked my boy's ass. That's it. And that was huge for Tyson Fury because that was like a comeback win. That was like the real comeback win for Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it helped Tyson. And now Tyson Fury is about to be in a unification bout and heavyweight unification bout. And he's going to make over $100 million in the next 2 fights.
Wow. Who's he fighting next anyway?
Anthony Joshua.
Oh, wow.
So that's biggest fight of the year, man.
So
biggest fight of the year.
The rematch clause that Wilder had is just not going through, or
no, it's just okay. So the rematch clause that Wilder had it's just monetary. It's just for money. He can't he's not getting the fight. He's just going to get paid now. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
Yeah, he's just going to get paid some money for that fight. So yeah, basically yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, Ray, it was going to happen, and then
COVID.
Wilder passed on it for he changed his mind and said, I don't want to fight him right now. And then that hurt him because he should have just stuck to it because, then he tried to come back to the drawing table, but Tyson Fury and his people were moving on already. They were just So
that's pretty
he shouldn't have done that. If he wanted to rematch, because contractually he could have sued him. And he's trying to, but I don't think.
I don't think it's going to hang. Yeah, I just think Wilder, because right now, it's just money now.
Right,
he's going to get money. Yeah. Because he tried to get through that and it didn't go through. So they was just like, well, you can only, they probably told Wilder you can only get money. That's the only thing you can get out of it. And
but in a way, it's good. Yeah.
In a way, it's good.
He can build his way back up with big knockouts like he can do this year. And then he can fight the winner of the two heading into next year, man.
Yeah, so, that is true. It's good for him because, he's got a new trainer. He needs it. He does not need to get back in the ring with Tyson Fury right now. He needs whatever trainer he's going to hire, he needs to learn, whatever game plans, whatever they need to work on. He needs to do that first. Go get your feet wet again. Go put your name, go build that confidence again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that's my number 2. And then number 1, I got Teofimo Lopez over Vasily Lomachenko. Teofimo is just, 20, what is he, 23 years old, 16 fights? Yeah. Basically unified, not undisputed. Devin Haney.
Stop it, Jesus.
But you can call what T.O. unified, undisputed, whatever way you would have. T.O.'s a top dog in his division right now. He beat, to me, my pound for pound number 1 guy on the list at the time, Vasily Lomachenko. And he got the job done. No matter which way it came, he got it done. Teofimo, and that 12th round, that showed his determination and what type of fighter he is. He knew that he was like, damn, if I lose this round, they might call this shit a draw on me. And he went out there and he fought. He gave it. He just went after it. He was like, nah, you're not taking this one from me. And so I got T.O. I think that was a huge win for him and put him on the pound for pound list and just got a lot of people talking about him. That fight was so big. That my barber, who don't watch boxing, he might watch a boxing match every once in Purple Moon. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He's he basketball, football. He was like, did you watch that Lomachenko versus what's it called, Teofimo Lopez fight? I was like, yeah, bro. I love boxing. He was like, man, that was a good ass fight. So that's how I know that fight did well. When you know what I'm saying? When you got guys who don't watch boxing saying, hey, that was a hell of a fight. So, yeah, I got Teofimo over Vasily Lomachenko for my win of the year.
Okay. That's a good fight. So, we're going to actually jump into some news for the 4th segment. You guys can go ahead and pick your news. Actually, let me ask one of my questions first, and then you guys can do news.
Yeah, you start it up, right? Go ahead.
Okay. So, my question is hold on, let me see. I got it written down here. I just had it. What division do you guys feel has a better longevity and career wise? You'll see guys like Canelo with 50 fights, some heavyweights with only 20 fights in their careers. What do you think health wise and longevity wise, what division has the most longevity?
That is a good question. I was think off the bat, one for me would be like, I'm thinking one where guys stay a long time. 168 is one. Heavyweight, even heavyweight, because heavyweights, man, they tend to box for a while.
Oh, okay,
they take care of themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 168 is for me. What about you, True?
You know, I like 168 too. That's a good one. You know, one division I was looking at all the ages where the guys are kind of hitting their prime right now, Ray.
Mhm.
All of them, like it's almost universal. Is 154, man. 154 has
Yeah.
a lot of dudes that are like 29, 30 years old, and that's like the perfect time for a fight.
That is true.
You know,
That's true.
so I like that division. But welterweight is still stacked, and those guys, a couple of them are a little older, but they're very good older fighters there. So they might still have a few years, but heavyweight, man, heavyweight is there, bro. I mean, Deontay. See, the thing about Deontay is he's 35.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
But Deontay's got that power where it don't matter, and he always comes in good shape.
So he take care of his body.
So it doesn't really matter that he's older because he's got that sick kind of power, and that's the one thing that doesn't leave you. Is Alexander Povetkin proved that against Dillian White? That power don't
go nowhere.
You know? You can slow down Ray, which Triple G has proven. You could slow down, you could take some shots, but and your skill might diminish a little, but the power's there. It don't matter. So I you know, there's a few divisions, but I really think 154, especially it's 9 out of the 10 top 10 guys are
almost over
PBC
30
fighters. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just that could be an exciting one. So yeah.
Okay. So what about the news? Who wants to start off the news? I'm sure you guys know more about news than me.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So I was reading a couple of days ago, Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker. Yes. Now that is an interesting fight because Hooker, I think, is going to be better at 147. He has, you know, him being 6'1", fighting at fucking 140. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I think it'll benefit him. So that's one fight I wanted to bring up. And then what was another fight that I heard? I just got news on. No, what fighter? Is some fighter that just signed. Is another, damn, I can't think of him. He just signed with the PBC. And he's a good little fighter, too. I forgot. Never mind. Go ahead, True.
Mine is I want to discuss the Canelo Yildirim fight.
Okay.
Getting announced. You know, that's, you know, I know I did my video on it the other day on my YouTube channel, and I think one thing that people are gonna ask, because there's probably not a lot of people too excited about it because they don't know who Yildirim is. Yeah. So a lot of people are gonna go, why Avni Yildirim? And the thing is a couple of reasons why. First off, Canelo, in order to hold on to the belt and to get the WBC belt, the green one, he made a deal when he fought Callum Smith that he would fight Yildirim next, who's the mandatory challenger. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is, you know, and people should appreciate this, Canelo is planning on fighting 3 times this year because he only fought once in 2020, you know? So, you know, a lot of people need to relax. Chill because
but they don't know. True.
Yeah, but he's only gonna sell himself even more by knocking this fool out. In my opinion, I think he's gonna lay Yildirim out and whip his ass. So I mean,
when's this fight?
Know, this is February 27th.
Oh wow!
And February and March.
2 months after he fought.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, Ray, in total, if he fights the dates that he wants, we're looking at Canelo fighting in a span of 10 months 4 times, bro.
Wow.
You know, it'd be actually 9 months because it's December all the way to September, Mexican Independence Day. He's planning on fighting in February, in May on Cinco de Mayo, and then Mexican Independence Day in September. So yeah. You know, and he did that before when he tested positive for that steroid in the meat that he made the excuse about. I didn't buy that shit. But when he tested positive for that, and the Triple G fight got scratched, he got suspended, and then he fought Triple G later. He was coming up on the end of the year, and he had only fought once, so he fought right at the end of the year, and he took on Rocky Fielding. You know, like Canelo's doing this, you know, to build his resume to get a knockout, but you know, it's a good thing for the fans to see Canelo, the top guy, fighting a lot. So people need to like relax on, oh, who's this guy? You know, I hate that stuff. It's like he has to fight this guy. You know, he's a mandatory, but I mean, shut up, because he's gonna knock this fool out and he's gonna look good doing it. So just relax, because he's fighting. He's planning on fighting two good ass fighters after that.
I know.
So,
well, I've heard Spence talk. I've heard Spence talk. I know that.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
Nah, that's
somebody told me that Friday.
168. Yeah, he moved up to 168. Canelo did officially in his last fight. He's staying here, and Spence is way down at 147. Spence said, "Hey, I'll fight him at 160." It's just not a realistic fight, bro.
Okay.
It needs to stop talking that way, because it's just not realistic.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it was exciting to hear that, because he's Canelo being a promotional free agent, you don't know where he's going, and he also signed a 2-fight deal with DAZN and Matchroom. So basically, his next 2 fights, you pretty much know who they are. He's fighting this Yildirim guy. And then he's taking on Billy Joe Saunders, the undefeated champion from England. He's fighting him in May on Cinco de Mayo. So, so you pretty much know that. And that's a good thing to know pretty much what he's doing after that fight in February. And yeah, should be good, man. So I'm pretty excited about the one, the top guy in the sport announcing his next pretty much couple fights, man. So,
okay. Well, before we get into our final segment, we're gonna talk about a PVC preview, but I want to ask you guys one more question, because you guys actually talked about it, and I thought about it right now. Actually, Vaughn, you made a comment about it. Based on the regions of boxing, we talking about Europe, we talking about Russia, Mexican fighters. Give me one of the most prominent, how would I say, traits that you could say a guy coming from a certain region brings to boxing. Like an example would be like Mexican fighters are known to have heart. So give me a region where you're like, he's from there. Oh yeah, I could tell because he does this, if that makes sense.
Oh, for me, Ukraine.
And what are Ukrainians known for?
Ukrainians are known for having high skill level boxers, meaning by they work on like the fundamentals. They're really sound at the fundamentals. Like you look at Usyk, Derevyanchenko, Lomachenko, you look at Postov, those type of dudes, like they are like skilled type of boxers.
Wow.
So that's something I would say for Ukraine.
Okay, what about you, True? What's something that you see?
I agree with the Ukraine fighters as of late, the top guys. Mm-hmm. But I see even a transition with them to the guys like Lomachenko and Usyk, because you had Klitschko, you had Pascal, guys like that, very similar to where it was more like kind of like a machine, like look, and I know I'm not being negative when I say more of a robotic Russian type style, where it's just kind of what they're gonna do, what their business is.
Jab, straight.
But what I like about the Lomachenkos, the Usyks, even I'm sad to see that he retired, but Oleksandr Votzik, those guys they're putting a little bit, they're putting more. That talent is there a little bit more to where they're moving their feet a little bit better. And I like that. It's more of a transition to see how it works. And like Lomachenko, I mean, that dude does ballet and shit like that to make himself more swift and on his feet. But yeah, I mean, the Russian style, if your original question, the Russian style, I think or the European style of kind of that systematic breakdown of everything. Not a lot of what is it? Lennox always said when they compared him to Vladimir, and especially when Vladimir Klitschko had Emmanuel Stewart, Lennox's old trainer. Lennox said one time during a fight, and he said it after, I was more natural than Vladimir Klitschko, and that is true. He was, and that's more of an American style now, that you see is the more natural kind of talent coming out, and you just got to see if that guy with the talent has the heart.
Right.
But Europeans has always been kind of like a very
meticulous,
systematic style.
Yeah,
very particular, and it's just kind of a shutdown, almost like Khabib in MMA. I mean, that dude is just like a beast, you know. So yeah.
Well, who got the title for or who would you guys say produces the more elusive boxers? Would it be American fighters? I know Canelo being as elusive as he is.
I say African American fighters.
They produce the more elusive. Okay.
Brothers, we produce
definitely more on the talent level. Yeah, in terms of like the natural move side to side and elusive. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cubans.
But Cubans? I do. The Cuban style. That's a great one. Yeah, they got a really good school of pure boxing. I mean, definitely. Well, and it's more of a mix of the European and the American style, because there's a lot of talent, but it's also like a systematic breakdown So when you see certain fighters that kind of come out of that and they don't traditionally look like one of those guys, it's almost like a Lomachenko or Usyk, like, oh shit, these guys are changing the game for Cuban fighters, you know,
Well,
like that. But I do want to throw in the Asian fighters. Those guys fucking come to fight, man. Those
Balls
guys,
to the wall.
yeah, those guys throw a shitload of punches. They just don't have the base that the Mexican fighters do. There's a lot more Mexican fighters, but those Asian fighters, man, especially if they make it out of that continent to the United States and make a name for themselves, like Takashi Inoue. I mean, man, you got some good ass fighters that really just balls to the wall, fucking fight hard, man.
Wow,
So,
wow, oh, that's pretty good script. But on the Cuban tip, I think with Cuban and even the Dominican Republic, I don't know if they have any boxers, but just coming from those two places, those guys work hard behind the scenes. Like you said, it's more of a it's almost like fighting to get out, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what it is. Because over there, it's like a job, bro.
Right,
it's almost like a job to go to the Cuban School of Boxing.
Right.
Your goal is to get to the Olympics, and a lot of fighters defect when they go to the Olympics. Erislandy Lara did it. You know, so yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Good knowledge on that, man. I was always curious about that. So let's get into the final segment. PVC preview for next Saturday's card. Vaughn, I know that's your the PVC guys. That's you, man. Go ahead and start off, man.
All right, so for the PBC card, it's not much of nothing on there. I'm just gonna talk about the main main card because there's some,
So
there's
happy you said that, bro.
yeah, there's some prospects. There's some prospects there, but I'm like, I'll talk about them on a later time. Some of the younger prospects that's going to be fighting on that card. But Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truax, it's a good fight. I mean, Caleb Truax is a guy who's always like going to bring the fight. Caleb's been around for a while. Good champ, been around for a while. Got some notable wins on his resume. And here's his chance. He was supposed to fight Alfredo Angulo for the IBF mandatory shot, but he ended up. What happened to Caleb? Did he get COVID or something happened with Caleb? Something happened with him and Angulo. And Angulo ended up going
like 3 or 4 injuries in a row, man. So
yeah.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I forgot. It's because he kept, And
I think they just said he pulled out of the fight with an unknown illness. I don't ever think they said it was COVID or anything, bro. I don't think they were ever specific about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Nah. And then he fought, and then Alfredo Angulo ended up fighting some dude and lost to him. Lost to this dude that he was supposed to lose to. Looked bad, too. I was like, ooh, Angulo, you got to retire, bro. But, so Caleb Plant, we all know about Caleb Plant. He is one of the better 168s in the world. His best win was I cannot say Colombian bro named Jose Uzgagi or something like that. That was his best win. Uzgagi. That's his best notable win on his resume. He just came back and beat what's his name? What's old boy name for the put to Notre Dame and play football? He beat him. And he beat
Mike Lee,
Mike Lee. He beat Mike B and Fencer Bud. I mean, so he doesn't have the biggest resume, you know what I'm saying? But people know Caleb Plant is a pretty good fighter. Caleb Truax, going to bring the fight. He's going to try to make it silent, but I'm going with Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant is just going to get the job done and keep his title. Hopefully, maybe in September, he can get that fight with Canelo. You know what I'm saying? If Canelo's undefeated at that time. Not undefeated if Canelo, still hasn't lost his belt or anything like that. And then that'll set it up for him. But it's also David Benavidez, you know what I'm saying? But now it seems like Caleb Plant kind of don't want to fight him now because, like, I seen an interview where Caleb Plant kind of like, well, you don't got a title no more kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And, but I would still like to see him fight David Benavidez because he would get David Benavidez out of the way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He would get Benavidez out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that, but I understand he don't want to risk it with a Canelo shot coming up. You know what I'm saying? Fighting somebody as dangerous as David Benavidez. But it's to be seen. But Caleb Plant, who are you going to fight after that? You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be like, if you're waiting for the Canelo fight in September, you're going to have to fight somebody. You're going to fight another IBF type of guy in the top 5, top 10. Why not David Benavidez? Why not take the risk? Why not put yourself out there a little bit more? You and him, the fight is going to sell really well because you guys hate each other guts. So, we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, I expect Caleb Plant to win. Caleb Truax will come and fight, but I expect Caleb Plant to get a unanimous decision or a late 10th round stoppage. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, True, you got any comments on that card?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, the undercard is like there's such a big gap between the undercard and the main event. It's like,
Yeah,
I was just shocked the PBC didn't come out with something better as a co-feature. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's just the main event is really only worth talking about. Yeah, it's a good matchup in terms. The way I'm looking at it is name recognition, because pretty much I think Caleb Plant needs more names on his resume. And Truax, I like Truax. He got the upset of the year in 2017 when he beat James DeGale, and then and became a world champion. And he was definitely, to that point, he was Ray. He was your. I mean, you look up what do we call it? Stepping stone or gatekeeper.
Right.
It was Caleb Truax. That
Okay.
was your dude. I mean,
yeah. Let's
and
go.
yeah, and he was just, it was one of those things where you're like, you didn't see it coming. He became a world champion. He checked that box, and barely lost the title back to him in the rematch. I mean, that was a good fight in the rematch, but he hasn't really done much since. He's been injuries, and just he kind of fell into this fight, and he's got a name. He's 30. I think he's 37 now. And Caleb Plant is just in his prime. So I think Plant's going to smash on Caleb Truax. I think he's going to skillfully. He's just way better skill wise. And I think, see, Plant's in a luxury position right here, to where if he looks bad and the fight's close and he still wins, Canelo's probably going to fight him either way in September. But if he looks good, I think he sells himself to everybody else more. If he dominates Caleb Truax, and that makes the fight juicier, because if Canelo's doing the next two fights on the zone, he's probably going to go to Showtime and get pay-per-view money for Caleb Plant, because Plant's with the PBC. So Canelo's going to want as many pay-per-view buys as possible, because Plant doesn't have a huge name right now. So Plant, in my opinion, he needs to look sharp. He needs to look good. And I think a stoppage win is coming. I think Plant's coming to show himself next Saturday. I think he's going to dominate. I think late rounds probably is the right one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets him out of there.
You got him out of there earlier,
because yeah. But yeah, no, definitely a fight. Plant is if he's pretty much the expected fight for September, if Canelo doesn't decide to go after Triple G. But Canelo's made it pretty clear that before even a Triple G fight, that he wants all four belts at 168, and he's gonna go get a third one in May against Billy Joe, and then Caleb Plant's next on the list. And honestly, Ray, he almost fought Caleb Plant in December for that fight instead of Smith. He wanted Caleb Plant, but Showtime and the PBC, they wouldn't pony up for another pay-per-view after Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. Plus, it was a big bowl game weekend on December 19th. So that's why he didn't end up fighting them already, because he wanted to win that world title right there. But anyways, yeah, Caleb Plant, I mean, he has a chance to really showcase himself. And the other one is, I thought about it too, Vaughn. I want to see Plant and Benavidez as much as you do, but but a couple things.
But Plant don't have
like you said, it's high risk, low reward when you have a fight like Canelo waiting. That's one. So it's not worth it. And two, it's going to be a little less than 8 months, about 7.5 months.
Yeah,
if you look at
that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it is a quick turnaround for Plant, especially because the PBC guys are notorious for, they usually only fight every 6 to 7 months to 8 months sometimes. So these guys aren't like, Ray, you don't have them like some of the top ranked guys that are fighting every 4 months or something like that. A lot of these guys.
Yeah, the bigger names on PBC, they don't fight as much.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just gonna say. Is some of those guys are bigger names too, though, and that's why they do that. But a guy like Plant, who's still trying to establish himself, you almost want him to come back and fight in May, just like Canelo is. But why risk that? Yeah, I mean, if he fights some dude that he's just gonna smash on another guy, okay, but
that's cool.
I wouldn't risk it against Benavidez, because to be honest, I would pick Benavidez over Plant if they fought. It would be close, but I think I would pick him, because I think Benavidez's potential and his skill level is combination of his power and his boxing ability is there. So if I'm Plant, I wouldn't do it, because I'm like, why? I got the biggest name in boxing. I could go make that money, win or lose, and nobody's gonna expect me to win. And I could fight Benavidez after that because I'll have a name now,
Right,
you know,
right.
a bigger name, you know. So yeah, so I mean, it would just be too high risk, and but I'm excited to see him. So you know,
So you're saying
we'll see
even
what
with a
happens.
loss, his name is bigger?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I mean, like, even Callum Smith now, bro. His name is bigger,
Oh,
even though he
true,
lost
true.
now.
Yeah.
But it was just his. You know, once you fight, that's the thing, bro. Once you fight, I mean, I remember dudes just because of my memory. I remember dudes that ain't that fought low level champions that aren't even, you know, that nobody would even remember. I remember those guys that challenged for him. But
Right.
when you get Canelo, man, I mean, definitely, man, you're a huge name. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, wow. So it's probably something that you guys should look for next weekend if you guys are out there trying to find some fights next weekend, right?
Yeah. It's next weekend on the 30th. So
And
it's
that's
Saturday, fellas.
Is it pay-per-view or is just
on Fox? No, it's on Fox.
Oh, Fox. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Fox, yeah.
Everybody, make sure you tune in to that, man. I think that's
Channel 2, guys.
that's gonna be it for us on this podcast. Make sure you guys hit the like button. A reminder. Tune into these guys. Let's do our outros. True.
Yeah, Tru Boxing, TRU Boxing on YouTube, and TRU_boxing on Instagram. So
all right, Von.
Von Blues Boxing on YouTube. So you already know VONBLEEU apostrophe S. Boxing.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you guys in a week. Next Sunday, tune in, and we'll have the video up, and you guys make sure you watch that. Thanks, guys.
All right, peace, guys.
All right, later.